Taiwan's president was not fleeing an attack, he was rehearsing survival. But the midnight drill shows how seriously Taipei now views the China threat. Han Kuang is no longer a symbolic show of force. Taiwan is preparing its military, government, and people for the real possibility of war. Shutting the Danjiang Bridge was a message. Taiwan is preparing to deny invading forces a fast route to Taipei. Every road to the capital now matters. Beijing's aircraft, warships, and daily pressure campaign are forcing Taiwan to adapt. The island is training for a crisis that could escalate without warning. Taipei is focusing on the first hours of war, keeping leaders safe, commands connected, and defenses in place. Survival before counterattack. This is Taiwan's worst-case scenario, played out in real time. The message is clear: if China makes a move, Taiwan wants to be ready. Taiwan President William Lai took part in a nighttime emergency evacuation drill, rehearsing how the country's leadership would respond if Taipei came under attack. Lai was moved from the presidential office to a secure command center in an armored personnel carrier, testing the government's ability to maintain control during a crisis. The exercise was part of Taiwan's Han Kuang military drills, the island's largest annual war games and its main test of readiness for a potential Chinese assault. The 10-day drills run from August 5th to 14th across Taiwan, involving active troops, reservists, government agencies, and civilian support systems. Taiwan is preparing for several conflict scenarios, including airstrikes, a Chinese blockade, amphibious landings, and a prolonged ground campaign. The Danjiang Bridge was shut for a major defensive exercise because it could give Chinese forces a quicker route toward Taipei after a coastal landing. Combat engineers, trucks and cranes deployed concrete and steel barriers, barbed wire and HESCO walls to turn the bridge into a fortified choke point. Taiwan is also testing civilian resilience, including temporary mobile network restrictions, factory relocation, and the use of civilian industry to sustain military production. The drills take place amid persistent Chinese military pressure. On August 4th, Taiwan said it had detected 21 Chinese aircraft and 9 warships operating around the island. Satellite images from China's desert suggest she is preparing for a high-end war, with the PLA turning empty sand into a full-scale rehearsal ground for strikes on US, Taiwanese, and allied targets. Analysts say China has built detailed mock-ups of US warships and Taiwanese government sites, using them as realistic targets to hone missiles and ground forces for a future Taiwan contingency. In the Taklamakan Desert, Chinese engineers have recreated US Arleigh Burke-class destroyers in three-dimensional form, complete with superstructure and radar reflectors to mimic real US Navy signatures for missile tests. Nearby, a full-scale mock-up of a US Gerald R. Ford-class carrier was completed in 2025, giving the PLA rocket force a life-size stand-in to practice DF-21D and DF-26 carrier killer shots under realistic targeting conditions. The same range includes a roughly 35 km rail system used to move ship-sized targets across the desert, simulating moving naval formations so Chinese missiles and sensors can track and hit ships under combat-like conditions. Satellite imagery has also revealed mock UPS of US F-22 and F-35 fighter jets laid out on a simulated airbase, many of them visibly destroyed in strike drills as the PLA Air Force learns how to target fifth-generation aircraft. Beyond hardware, China has built a replica of Taiwan's presidential office at the Zurich training base in Inner Mongolia, allowing troops to practice storming the island's political heart in a full-scale assault scenario. A larger mock-up of central Taipei has been added, with streets and blocks mapped to the Boai Special Zone, so PLA units can rehearse urban combat in the capital down to building angles and road layouts. Satellite imagery has further identified a mock-up of Japan's E-767 early warning aircraft and a replica of Yokosuka Naval Base, signaling Beijing is wargaming strikes on the command and control assets that would support US operations. The Japanese E-767 mock-up was reportedly destroyed in simulated strike exercises in 2025, underscoring that PLA planners see Japanese air and naval assets as legitimate targets in any wider regional war. Taken together, these desert replicas suggest Japan could be drawn directly into a Taiwan conflict, particularly as it hosts more than 50,000 US troops and key bases that China is already practicing to hit. Amid heightened tensions across the Pacific, a one-minute video released by China has triggered fresh concerns over Taiwan's security. The The video showed Chinese PLA combat forces demonstrating how they could rapidly storm Taiwan during a potential cross-strait conflict. The rare footage showcasing PLA combat operations was released by China Military Bugle on August 5th. Dozens of the PLA Army's amphibious armored vehicles were seen taking part in large-scale assault and landing exercises. The video featured tactical maneuvers, high-speed waterborne transit operations, and coordinated beach assault drills by Chinese forces. Chinese troops were shown storming shorelines in multiple assault waves while breaching simulated defensive obstacles along the coastline. The joint combat exercise highlighted close coordination between ground infantry units and supporting naval assets during the operation. Supporting PLA units were also deployed to simulate complex island landing operations, resembling an assault on heavily defended territory. The latest exercise comes as China continues expanding the presence of its aircraft carriers to the east of Taiwan. The waters surrounding the Philippines are increasingly emerging as a potential battlefield if tensions between China and Taiwan erupt into open conflict. China could reportedly deploy its aircraft carriers east of Taiwan in a bid to deter any direct military intervention by the United States. Military experts believe Beijing's strategy would be to intercept approaching naval forces before they can reach the strategically vital Taiwan Strait. According to SCMP, the Philippine Sea could become a crucial operating area for China's carrier strike groups during any future conflict. Decoding China's Philippine Sea strategy. Block U.S. reinforcement forces before they can enter the Western Pacific battlespace. Establish operational control over key stretches of the strategically important Philippine Sea. Create a wider maritime buffer zone to keep potential adversaries farther from China's coastline. Project Chinese military power well beyond Taiwan into the broader Indo-Pacific region. One defense expert argued that China's aircraft carriers are intended to coordinate joint operations rather than directly spearhead attacks against Taiwan.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.